Welcome back to another episode of Animation Pilgrimage. Today we are jumping into one of the most beloved Disney animated films, Saludos Amigos.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wait,
Wrong movie.
Wrong movie.
Although this does give me that feeling where it's all just like this sugar-coated, nothing too serious can happen. We don't want to
Here is the
push any buttons.
briefest, nicest way of putting these 4 countries that you've probably never heard of before. At least for the people back then.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't know anything, so here's the best possible impression we as Americans can give you.
Right. So, for those of you who don't know a little background on this film, at this point, the U.S. is at war, and the Army has, quote-unquote, invaded the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a few years back, or maybe not even a few years, but a little bit before they go and take this goodwill tour, the government had come to Walt and said, would you please go on a, handshaking goodwill tour down in South America? And Walt said, no, I make movies. Screw that.
Screw that noise. I don't shake hands. I make animated hands.
And then the Army came in and again they're like, hey, would you do this if we gave you funding to make a movie about it? And Walt's like, fine.
Fine, we'll do your stupid movie.
So, and also Walt had other incentives to leave, one that we didn't see in that little clip there.
Okay.
Is that the strike was still
very much in effect?
Yeah, it was still very tense and things were still heated and Walt kind of needed time to get away from it.
Okay.
So.
Fun.
Yeah. So him and then a group of 13 artists and...
I thought it was 19.
19 artists and then 13 composers or something. It was a small task force that went down to visit South America. And you have the countries listed that they...
Yes, so the main countries that they hit were Argentina as we know it, Chile, and Brazil. And I guess they also briefly went to Peru.
Yeah, they kind of talk about, some artists went to Peru, but these artists went to Chile, and let's talk about what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, those are the 4 countries that are actually covered in the shorts of this compilation movie.
Package film.
Compilation movie.
Yes. And for those of you who haven't seen this, because it's probably quite a few of you, this is a very...
not well seen movie.
For obvious reasons. It's really dated. It was only there to serve as, goodwill propaganda between the U.S. and South America. So, it has no relevance now today at all. Except for... if you're an animation history buff like we are, and you just want to see the shorts that go along with this. So there's live action segments where they're mostly just filming informational National Geographic-esque documentaries.
Yeah, where it's this is the scenery, and look at this crowd of people doing their daily lives, and look at this pretty thing, or stuff like that.
And here's the locals all trading at the market, and here's some expert dancers performing the dance
of their people.
of their grandparents, and stuff like that. And, I mean,
it's completely harmless.
Yeah, I mean, it's all being very respectful. I mean, obviously also being very, squeaky clean. They're not showing anything negative about it, because obviously this was meant to be all, goodwill and all that.
But there's not really a lot of hard-hitting anything.
Oh no, not even in the shorts. Like,
The shorts are as
bland.
and boring as you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Some of these are really bad.
Some of these really suck.
They suck a lot. But
So I think that pretty much gets the live action segment
yeah,
out of the way.
That's all we're going to talk about with the live action stuff, because sure, it happens before each of these 4 shorts.
They don't even wrap up with live action.
No, the movie just kind of ends
It's
in
like
the middle of one of the shorts.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that at the end. I think we should go through these in order, because that's probably the correct order to go through them.
Yeah, to be fair.
Just quality-wise, probably.
Yeah.
So, the first one we start off with is the Peru short, which isn't even about Peru per se, but it's just about
Lake Titicaca.
Lake Titicaca. Mm-hmm. Just, this lake that exists
Way up in the mountains.
13,000 feet above
Sea level.
sea level.
Yeah.
So we get to see Donald playing the tourist,
And he's doing all the touristy things.
all
Have
of
you
the
ever...
asshole tourist things you've ever seen anytime, forever, all times.
Uh-huh. And as 2 people who have grown up in a tourist town, it's not charming to watch.
No, in fact, we
It's
quite
just kind of
dislike tourists. We don't like to be tourists when we go places.
Yeah, or at least we try not to be.
We try not to be.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, like the gawking and staring and taking photos of things and just being
Can I wear your outfit?
overly rude in everything you do.
Oh gosh.
As only the American tourist can, is one point that this thing actually
Yeah.
says.
It's like they're purposely. They know what they're doing. They're making Donald be an ass because they're saying, like, this is what American tourists do. If anything, this film pokes more fun at us
Oh, it
than
most
it
definitely
does.
does.
Yeah.
It does so on purpose, showing
like,
that
it's very tongue-in-cheek.
oh yeah, it's like, haha, we Americans are silly, not understanding your culture, which might be vaguely offensive.
Well, it's just kind of, it's like that whole, like, systemic thing. It's like, haha, we've made a joke about us being ignorant and thus continue the cycle of ignorance.
Yeah. So this one, yeah, he's just kind of being a tourist. At one point, we get.
Well, one second. It's kind of like, in the middle of watching this, we both were just like, this is making me realize how little I know about South America.
Yeah, it's like watching this is like, sure, I've gotten like a couple cliff notes on things that I didn't know about, but past that, I still
A film
don't.
in the 40s is educating you
Yeah,
about these countries.
That's the problem. We haven't been taught anything about these countries. There's kind of been like 77 years between when this movie came out and now. I'm pretty sure these countries have all changed, and I know nothing about them.
And I couldn't tell you how. Rip. Anyway, so there's
That's not
this
anything to do with this film.
Let's move on.
Well, the short itself, it also had this, one of the better animated bits
Yes.
of this entire movie,
Oh, yeah.
which was the Llama. Mm-hmm. And that was by Milt Kahl, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
Milt Kahl animated the llama, and, I mean, yeah, it's fantastic. Milt has such, like, a fantastic sense of weight.
Oh, yeah. It's like, this thing moving is like, yes, I can feel the weight of this, and it has just, like, this perfect bounce. Mm-hmm. Everything he does has, like, this amazing bounce to it.
Well, and this is actually a lot more like squash and stretch. Like it's a lot more cartoonier than you see a lot of
Milt stuff.
Milt actions,
Yeah.
Like a lot of his other characters have more of like a realistic squash and stretch, where like the squash and stretch is barely there. Mm-hmm. But it's just there enough to like give that feeling of motion.
That's because he's generally working on full-fledged films that are going
Right.
for a higher level of realism as compared to this.
Yeah.
That is a Donald
I mean,
Duck
you need a
short.
llama, next to Donald Duck, so...
So it's got to be cartoony, but it does actually look really good.
Fantastic.
The problem is the segment is still very boring.
Oh yeah, like there's no the whole pace of this film and the shorts themselves are all just very static.
It's very flat. There's not really a whole lot of rising tension or rising or falling action.
And it's not like they couldn't have, because like there's a segment where
there's the
Donald is going across the bridge, and it's like, that should be big and scary. And he's like putting the boards out in front so that, and while it's still a comedy scene, like it's not funny. It's not
like vaguely
intimidating.
It's vaguely amusing at best.
Because it's just shot plainly. Like everything in this film is very cost efficient.
So I think that's most of everything for the Lake Titicaca short.
Yeah, and that one also just kind of randomly ends.
Yeah, most of these pretty much just kind of end. This second one probably has the best start, middle, and end. It tells a full-fledged story,
but I hate it.
It is so goddamn boring. It is the story for Chile and Argentina.
Planes, fire and rescue.
Oh god, no. It's the Argentina/Chile cross the mountains story of Pedro the mail plane. And the whole story is him getting the mail.
Yeah.
And then he does things along the way.
It's supposed to be like this little mini coming of age story.
Yeah. The little plane that could, or something like that. But it's just really boring.
I mean, I immediately am turned off from it because it's like, plane.
It's a plane. I don't care.
Yeah. You put cartoon eyes on a plane, I am immediately disengaged.
It's true, though.
It's true. And then it opens with, like, all those 1940, 1950 family value bullshit stuff that just also makes me sit back in my seat and go, I know it was a different time back then, but please, for the love of God, make it stop.
It's the Papa plane is a male plane.
Yes, he's a big, strong man plane.
Male plane. Specifically using the word male because it's a joke on the fact that he is a male plane.
Carrier.
Male carrier who is also a male gendered plane. And then there was the female plane.
Yes.
Who is
She's
Llama.
A female plane. And of course, she's pink.
Was she pink? I thought she was yellow.
Well, she's surrounded by pink.
She's surrounded by pink, but she's yellow. Again, we literally just finished watching this movie and we've already forgotten.
Yeah, it's like it's already oozing out of my ears.
This is giving you a good impression of how much we've forgotten about how boring this is. And Pedro's red. I remember that.
Yeah, he's got like a red and blue design. I think.
It's red and white.
Is it? I don't remember.
Tennille, this movie is 40 minutes. This movie is only 42 minutes long. You can't forget that quickly, please.
It's so boring.
I wrote some notes for this one because I knew I was going to forget. It was specifically the mail over the mountains of the Andes of Santiago in Chile and Mendoza in Argentina.
Yes.
And they have to go by Aconcagua, the biggest mountain, and in this movie has big old frumpy frown face.
Yeah.
And summons thunderstorms, apparently. And, and
this one actually does have, like, a bit of, like, rising tension, and...
Then he supposedly dies, but then it's okay.
Yeah.
But it actually still tells a complete story, even if the story is completely boring, so it succeeds more than the first one in that sense.
But I hate this one the most.
Yeah. I don't know. I personally gotta say that these first three are all
bad.
Equally bad in my books.
Yeah. Although, okay, before we go on to the next one, I want to take a little break here and say that to give this film some credit, I love seeing the artwork that the artists were doing while visiting these countries.
Yes.
Like the landscape paintings and stuff are gorgeous. And like the caricatures that they were doing of people like passing by.
And the animals and stuff that they see.
Yeah.
Some really good stuff. It's really interesting to look at. It's just the shorts themselves are lackluster.
The landscape paintings and the concept art is pretty much like better than any of the shorts.
Yeah. It's
as like a cohesive whole, it's like that landscape painting right there is better than this entire movie.
Yeah. All right, so the third of the 4 shorts is about Argentina, specifically their version of cowboys known as the Gaucho.
Yeah, and remember the How to Ride a Horse short that we talked about during The Reluctant Dragon? If not, here's a link to The Reluctant Dragon.
Go watch it. It's a good movie that you probably also haven't heard about.
Yeah, and watch our review, of course. But this is that, again, with a different coat of paint.
Yeah, they use the same bits of animation, the exact same jokes.
Oh, yeah.
It is so boring, and
which is a shame. It makes me really sad because it's goofy.
It's goofy, and Goofy's normally really good. But specifically his introduction bit where he says, "Howdy, folks,"
does not sound like Goofy at all.
It doesn't sound like Goofy, and the animation loops back and forth like a really bad GIF.
Yeah.
And it's super obvious, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Which is just really off-putting because that's how this segment starts.
Yeah, and that's not to say that there isn't good animation in this segment, because I think there are, like, obviously it's still the Disney team animating stuff, so, like, when I say that the animation isn't great, it's still, like, great. It's just not as great as Disney can be, you know?
Yeah, it's very okay. It's very similar to... It's just their shorts.
Just passing the bar of what is acceptable for Disney Studios to push out.
Yeah, it's the level that they would put in any of their shorts, because that's all it is, except it's a really bad short.
Yeah.
It's 4 really bad shorts.
Well, 3 really bad shorts and then 1 incomplete one.
Yeah.
That is interesting, but it's just not done.
Yeah, which is a damn shame. Are we ready to move on to the final one?
I think so. There's like nothing to talk about with the Goofy one.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
It's so bad, and whatever. We're moving on. The final one is full on Brazil, and specifically the town of Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
And this time they actually introduce a new character that's not Pedro.
The plane. Yeah.
Yeah, Pedro the plane. They introduce an interesting character.
Hallelujah!
An interesting character who is charming, suave, so much fun to watch because his animation is exquisite. He is...
Really does make you feel like you're finally getting a taste of the people.
Yeah, feel like you're getting a taste of the people that exist in this...
country.
This country. And his name is Jose Carioca. Or Joe.
Joe Carioca.
Joe Carioca.
I really wish they wouldn't call him by both names in the movie, because he's not in the movie long enough to establish himself that even to this day, even though I know like who he is and where he comes from and all that, he's still one of those characters that I look at and I'm like,
what is your name again?
What is your name again?
Yeah, it's Jose
Carioca.
Jose Carioca, or in the common tongue would actually be pronounced Jose. Jose Carioca.
Yeah.
And this segment is the most interesting because they actually got local musicians to make the music for it. It sounds fantastic. They animated Donald Duck's in this one again for some reason.
Well, because
he's popular.
It's about them
Yeah.
mingling. And
Mm-hmm.
like I've said before, Donald was way more popular than Mickey. And, now you see...
Yeah. And he's the perfect foil for this new...
Although Donald is not nearly as rude as he would normally be.
No.
He's been censored
Donald
quite
is very lackluster and mild in these.
Yes.
In the 2 segments that he's in this one.
He's been put on medication for his anger management for this movie.
It's like, you can't piss off the locals. You can't piss off the locals. Yeah, and this segment is really fun to watch because it starts off with like the music starting in, and then like the artists are painting it in supposedly, and
but it's gorgeous.
oh, it's gorgeous to see, and like everything's
all got
moving
like
with
a
the
rhythm to it.
yeah the samba.
Because they're doing the samba. Yeah.
Like everything's moving to the beat of the samba, and the song is actually really catchy. I catch myself just like humming it.
Yeah.
Brazil, and stuff. And it's got just the right level of like basic surrealism in it as well.
And Jose is like showing Donald around, and like as they're going, the artists are painting in, and
like painting in front of them, and they're just dancing along. And at one point, he introduces Donald to Kashaka, I believe it was called, which I'm pretty sure is
some like spicy alcoholic drink.
Which we might be completely wrong, but that's just the impression we got from how Donald reacted to it.
Right.
Again, we don't know anything about these countries.
It's been a long time since I was in Spanish too.
Yeah, and we didn't learn about Brazil all that much in Spanish class in high school.
No.
But yeah, and then he introduces them to the Kashaka, and then we get a little bit more music, and then it just ends.
Like they start like having a party and stuff, and then
the movie ends.
It cuts to black, and it's like the end, and you're like, what?
Wait, what? This segment was actually getting interesting. I mean, it was interesting to begin with, but I was into this segment, and then you just stopped it.
And the movie's only 40 minutes long, so you're like, movie, you have 20 more minutes here.
Come on, at least give us a full 60 minutes. Come on. Give us 20 more minutes of just Brazil, please.
Of just Jose.
I want more Joe.
I mean, luckily we do get more Joe, because...
Yes, he comes back in the sequel film, Saludos Amigos.
No, we just watched Saludos Amigos. The Three Caballeros.
The Three Caballeros.
Yeah.
But is that one next?
No. No, the next film we have to watch is a Disney film I've actually not seen.
Which means I've probably never seen it also.
I am going to guarantee you've never seen this, because this one is just straight propaganda made for the army, and it is Victory Through Air Power. And it's just a film, from my understanding, it's just a film showcasing like the awesomeness of World War II U.S. planes.
Yay! We'll get to that one later.
Next time.
But before we get to that,
yeah,
I do want to talk a little bit more about these films.
Okay, go ahead.
So overall, this film sucks. Just gonna put it this bluntly.
I mean, it did make its money back.
Yeah, but it didn't make much. Didn't take much to make to begin with.
No.
And even if they didn't make all their money back, the government was going to cover it.
Yeah.
So Disney had, like, no...
Well, I mean, the government kind of... It's not necessarily that the government covered it. It's more like the government gave them a loan to make the movie.
Okay.
And then the movie made back the money that it spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so overall, this movie, the movie sucks. The first 3 segments, the live action bits are passingly interesting at best. The
skull-numbingly boring at worst.
Skull-numbingly boring at worst. The actual bits of animation are passable at best.
With few exceptions, like we mentioned.
Yeah, with a few exceptions, like the milk call llama. And yeah. So, honestly, if you're interested in watching this movie at all, I would suggest just skipping to the final quarter of this film and just watch the segment on Brazil.
Yeah, you might even be able to look it up online. I'm not sure.
But it's the only part that's even interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And the live-action part of this one is bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. The live-action part of Brazil is bad.
A bad, like National Geographic, before National Geographic was really a thing.
Yeah. But the animated segment here is
really good.
Is really good and is a lot of fun to watch. I just wish it didn't stop as it was beginning.
Mm-hmm. And if you feel like we're being really harsh on this film, I don't care, because, who cares about Saludos Amigos?
Very few people.
And we just finished watching Bambi, so I feel like,
it's pretty okay for us to say that this movie was not good.
Yeah. So anyway, next time, victory through air power.
Hey, do you like these episodes? Do you want to see them early? Well, now you can! Through Tennille's Patreon account. If you sign up, you get many amazing rewards, such as being part of her art streams and see early concept work on stuff. And if you become a $10 patron, you get to see all of these episodes a week early. Whoa! And not just these, but also any of her other, like, cat-related videos that I know you people all clamor about, too. And even if you donate just $1 a month, you get to be part of the Discord chat and chat with Tennille and I and everyone else in there whenever you want. And you get to watch upcoming movies for Animation Pilgrimage with us on occasions when our internet works. So, go head on over to the Patreon account and find out how you can support us make more better content for you.